Veena from Patter Cake, the channel that's about baking and much more. Here's where you'll find quick and tasty recipes for new cooks and those with less time to spend in the kitchen. Okay then, let's get cracking with today's recipe. Welcome back. Today at Patter Cake, we are making classic Sheera, a sweet dish made on festive occasions and for family celebrations, and Goan Sheero, a popular tea time dish in Goa. So now let's dive right into preparing these two tasty Rava dishes right here at Patter Cake. To make the classic pure Ghee Sheera, we'll need Rava or semolina, sugar, pure ghee, milk, water, ground cardamom, salt, cashew nuts, raisins and saffron. If you don't have saffron, you could use a few drops of yellow color instead or skip the color altogether. We'll begin by preparing the liquid mix in which we'll cook the Sheera. So to this vessel, I'll add 3/4 of a cup of milk, 1 cup of water, half a cup plus 2 tablespoons, that's around 10 tablespoons in all of sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. In this small bowl, I have 2 pinches of saffron, and we'll soak this in 1.5 tablespoons of water and keep it aside for now. Let's give this mix a good stir and set it to boil. I've kept the milk mix to boil on one burner, and to the vessel on this other burner, I'll add 1 tablespoon of the 5 tablespoons of pure ghee that we'll be using in this recipe. The heat is on medium. When the ghee gets hot, I'll add in 2 tablespoons of chopped cashew nuts and 2 tablespoons of raisins. Let's saute these for a minute or two and then take them off into a bowl. We have to remember to keep an eye on the milk mix and stir it now and then till it boils. To this other vessel, let's add the remaining 4 tablespoons of ghee and wait for it to get hot. The ghee is now hot enough, so we'll add in 3/4 of a cup of Rava, that's half a cup, and a 1/4 cup more. We'll have to now roast this on medium heat till it changes color and becomes light brown and gives off the aroma of roasted Rava. Now usually to make classic Sheera, for 1 measure of Rava, you have to add an equal quantity of sugar and half the quantity of ghee. But I'm adding slightly reduced quantities of sugar and ghee. I find these are the perfect proportions for getting flavorful and fluffy Sheera that's not too sweet or too oily. This is how I make it. Do make this Sheera with my proportions and let me know how you like it, okay? This mix is about to boil, so I'll turn off the burner. The semolina is now well roasted, so I'll reduce the heat to low and then add in 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom, the roasted nuts and raisins, and the saffron mix. Let's give it a quick stir and then pour in the hot milk mix. Let's stir everything again. I'll now cover the vessel and let the Sheera cook for 2 to 3 minutes till almost all the liquid evaporates. Let's check our Sheera. It's looking good. We'll continue stirring it till the extra moisture evaporates and the Sheera begins to leave the sides of the vessel. Like this. Our Sheera is now ready to be served. You could shape the Sheera into a mound using a cup or a vati, or you could fluff it up like this. Looks so tempting, doesn't it? Okay, now let's make some Goan Sheero. To make sheero, we'll need rava, sugar, pure ghee. You could use vegetable fat or vanaspati instead. Grated coconut, milk, water, ground cardamom, salt, and a few cashew nuts and raisins. Like we did earlier, we'll begin by preparing the liquid mix in which we'll cook the sheero. To this vessel, I'll add 1 1/4 cups of water and 1/4 cup of milk. You could prepare sheero with just water. That's how my mother usually made it. Sometimes she would throw in a little milk. Actually, what I'm showing you is exactly how my mother used to make sheero. Next, let's add in 5 tablespoons of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We'll stir this and then I'll start heating it till it boils. We need just 2 tablespoons of ghee for this recipe. I'm using pure ghee. But for now, I'll add just 1 tablespoon to this vessel. I've set the heat to medium. When the ghee is hot enough, I'll saute a few cashew nuts in it for a minute or so till they brown a little. I've taken the cashew nuts out into this bowl and will crush them lightly. To the ghee that was there in this vessel, I added the remaining 1 tablespoon of ghee and half a cup of rava. With the heat on low, I've just started roasting the rava. I've also started heating the milk mix on my other burner. I hadn't realized my camera was not on when I added in the remaining ghee and the rava. Sorry about that. We'll roast the rava with continuous stirring for around 3 to 4 minutes. The milk mix is coming to a boil, and so I'll turn off the heat. I've increased the heat here to medium and will now add in 3 tablespoons of grated coconut. We'll continue roasting this mix till the rava takes on a brownish color. It has browned perfectly, and the smell of roasted semolina is wafting across my kitchen. It's now time to lower the heat and add in the hot milk mix and half a teaspoon of ground cardamom. Let's stir everything, cover the vessel, and let the sheero cook for a couple of minutes. It's time to check it and see how it's doing. It still has some amount of liquid, so we'll stir it till the excess moisture is gone and the sheero comes off the sides of the vessel. Now sheero has a lower proportion of sugar and ghee as compared to sheera, but believe me, it is still very tasty. Our sheero is now ready, so we'll take it off the heat. Here's a plate I had greased with ghee, and we'll now transfer the sheero to it. And here are the crushed cashew nuts, which we'll sprinkle on top of the sheero. The sheero has cooked perfectly, and as you've just seen, come off smoothly from the vessel. You could now flatten it across the plate with the same spoon you used to stir it, or you could use a greased spatula instead, like this. I flattened the slab of sheero to a thickness of a little more than half an inch and will now sprinkle the crushed cashew nuts across it. Let's press them down with the spatula. You could cut the sheero into diamond shapes or squares or rectangles, whatever you like. I'm going to cut it into diamond shapes. You could use a scale for measurements if you want all the pieces to have a uniform size. I'm going to just eyeball it, using the scale only to make straight and sharp cuts. I'll now press a raisin into each of the diamond-shaped pieces, just like my mother used to. So here's our sheero. We'll let it cool down a little for around 7 to 8 minutes and then separate the pieces. If you've never made or tasted sheero before, I urge you to try it out. It's delicious, just like sheera. Yes, it's different, but in a tasty kind of way. Both of today's recipes have perfect proportions, so do try them. I assure you, both dishes will turn out exactly like mine did today. Hope you enjoyed today's video and do stop by again for yet another quick and tasty recipe. Till then, take care, happy cooking!